very good morning to all the students of class 7. My name is Prerna and I'm your English teacher. And today from your English book Skyline, we are going to be reading chapter number 2. This chapter is called the CUB and it talks about family relations. So let us start reading this chapter and find out what this chapter tells us about family relations. So here we go. This is chapter number 2 and the name of the chapter is the CUB. So let us start reading this chapter. Here we go. One of his first memories was of his father bending down from his great height to sweep him up into the air. Up he went, gasping and laughing with delight. He could look down on his mother's upturned face as she watched, laughing with them, and at the thick stalk of his father's brown hair and at his white teeth. So what is happening? There's a boy and his most precious memory and his first memory with his parents is when his father would just sweep him up into the air and catch him back. So our parents have done this to us several times, when we were a toddler or when we were really young. So this boy is thinking about his first memory with his father and probably the most precious memory. And then he also talks about how his mother would look at the father and the son playing with each other. Then he would come down shrieking happily, but he was never afraid, not with his father's hand holding him. No one in the world was as strong or as wise as his father. So now the son, even though he was a toddler, he never feared that he would fall down or he would get hurt, because he knew that my father is there to hold me, and my father would never let me be hurt by anything. And the boy also feels that no one is as strong and as wise as his father. He remembered a time when his father moved the piano across the room for his mother. He watched while she guided it into its new position, and he saw the difference in their hands as they rested side by side upon the gleaming walnut. His mother's hand was white and slim and delicate, his father's large and square and strong. So he's talking about the masculine appearance of his father and the feminine appearance of his mother. As he grew, he learned to play bear. When it was time for his father to come home at night, he would lurk behind the kitchen door. So he would hide himself behind the kitchen door. When he heard the closing of the garage doors, he would hold his breath and squeeze himself into the crack behind the door. Then he would be quiet. It was always the same. His father would open the door, stand there and ask, "Where is the boy?" He would glance at the smile of his mother's face, and then he would leap and grab his father up at the knees, and his father would look down and shout, "Hey, what's this? A bear, a young cub." So this is, the boy is just thinking about his childhood memories. Beautiful memories being talked about, that how he would wait his father to come back from the office, and every day it was the same manner in which they would play, that this little boy would hide behind the crack of the door, and the moment the father would come, "Oh my God, where's my boy?" he would just hold his father's knees. And then that really delighted the father to see his boy again, and the father called his boy as the young cub. Then, no matter how tightly he tried to clinch, he was lifted up and perched upon his father's shoulder, and they would march past his mother, and together they would tuck their heads beneath the doors. So remember how our parents, they would, make us sit on us on our shoulders, and the moment there was, something of a height in our door, so we would just, bend. Our parents would bend, and they would tell us also to bend so that we don't get hurt. So the boy is thinking about all those memories. And then he went to school, and on the playground he learned how to wrestle and shout and how to hold back tears. So this boy started growing up, and he realized that, I'm a boy, and I should not be crying. So the boy, he started becoming strong, not just physically but mentally as well. He grew taller, slimmer, and stronger. He was like a young buck with tiny new horns. He wanted to lock them with any other young bucks to test them in combat. So now this boy, who had grown up quite well, so he wanted to, really fight with someone. So the boy here is compared to a buck, which is like a deer. So this boy was always ready to wrestle with anyone to show his strength. He measured his biceps with his mother's tape measure. Most of us have already started doing that, though we are in 7th grade. But we've started, oh my god, look at my biceps, my god, I'm becoming strong. Exultantly, he thrust his arm in front of his father. So very proudly he would show his father that, see, I've grown stronger. Feel that? How's that for a muscle? His father put his great thumb into the flexed muscle and pressed and the boy pulled back, protesting, laughing. Ouch! So the moment this boy would go to his father and say, look, I've become strong, so the father would press his muscle like this, the father would pinch him like this, and the boy would start laughing. But he said, ouch, leave me alone, don't press my muscles. Sometimes they wrestled on the floor together, and his mother moved the chairs back. Be careful, Charles, don't hurt him. After a while, his father would push him aside and sit in his chair. His long legs thrust out before him, and the boy would scramble to his feet, half resentful, half mirthful over the ease with which his father mastered him. That someday, he would say. So now, whenever, so you can see the boy and his father, they are trying to wrestle with each other, but most of the time, the father was able to take over the boy, or the father was able to win. But then this boy said that someday I'm going to win over you in this wrestling. And you can see that mother is getting little worried. She's telling her son that don't hurt your father. And this boy, he would, so it said scramble, so he would move hurriedly and awkwardly, and mirthful meaning full of amusement. Then what happened? So this entire scene is described. He went out for football in high school. He surprised even himself now. There was so much more of him, and he could look down on his mother. Little one, he called her. Sometimes he took her wrist and backed her into the chair while he laughed, and she scolded, I will take you across my knee. So the mother is saying that you've grown bigger in terms of size, but for me you are still a little boy, and someday I'll put you into my knees, and I'll make you sit there. Who will? He demanded. Well, your father still can, she said. His father, well, that was different. They still wrestled occasionally, but it distressed his mother. So every time the son and father would wrestle with each other, somewhere the mother got worried. She hovered about them, so she would keep on moving and seeing that no one is getting hurt, worrying, unable to comprehend the need for their struggling. So the mother, she always thought, what is it that this father and son, what is it that they keep on doing? Why do they wrestle with each other like little children? It always ended the same way, with the boy upon his back prostrate and his father grinning down at him. So you can look at this picture. Give, and he got up shaking his head. I wish you wouldn't, his mother would say, fretting. There's no point in it. You will hurt yourself. Don't do it anymore. So anytime the father would lose the wrestling match, so his father would say, oh, that's okay, I'm still not defeated, you cannot defeat me in wrestling. So for nearly a year they had not wrestled, but he thought about it one night at dinner. He looked at his father closely. It was queer, that is very strange and odd, but his father didn't look nearly as tall, as broad shouldered as he used to. So, what has happened? The father has grown old. He could even look at his father straight in the eyes now. So, the boy had picked up the same height as his father. How much do you weigh, Dad? He asked. His father threw him a mild glance. About the same, about 190. Why? The boy grinned, just wondering. So the father is saying that my weight is 190 kgs. So the boy, he laughed a little. But after a while, he went over to his father, where he sat reading the paper and took it out of his hands. His father glanced up, his eyes at first questioning and then narrowing to meet the challenge in his son's. So, he said softly, come on, Dad. His father took off his coat and began to unbutton his shirt. You asked for it, he said. His mother came in from the kitchen alarmed meaning very alert, very worried. So the mother came from the kitchen. Oh my god, are they start going to wrestle again? Oh, Charles, Bill. So Charles is the name of son and Bill is his father. Don't, you will hurt yourself. But they paid no attention to her. They were standing now with their shirts off. They watched each other, intent and purposeful. So they both were very much sure about her. Intent and purposeful here means where they're looking at each other with a great level of concentration, and purposeful means intentionally. So what was the intention? That I need to defeat my opponent. The boy's teeth gleamed. So the boy, his teeth were shining. They circled for a moment and then their hands closed up each other's arms. They strained against each other and then the boy went down, taking his father with him. So now the father and the son, they had started wrestling with each other. They moved and writhed and turned in silence, seeking an advantage, in silence pressing to its conclusion. What is the meaning of the word writhe? It means moving by twisting and turning. There was the sound of thumbs of their bodies upon the rug and of the quick, hard intake of breath. The boy showed his teeth occasionally in a grimace of pain. So, he made those expressions that, oh my god, I'm getting hurt. His mother stood at one side, both hands pressed against her ears. Still, oh my god, what are these people doing? Occasionally her lips moved, but she did not make a sound. After a while, the boy pinned his father on his back. So when you pin someone in wrestling, that means you put that person down. Give, he demanded. His father said no, and with great effort he pushed the boy off and the struggle began again. But at the end, his father lay prostrate and a look of bewilderment came into his eyes. What is the meaning of the word bewilderment? A feeling of being confused. He struggled desperately against his son's restraining hands. Finally, he lay quiet, only his chest heaving, his breath coming loudly. The boy said, give. So the boy is saying, come on, punch me. The man frowned, shaking his head. Still the boy knelt on him, pinning him down. Give, he said, and tightened his grasp. Give. All at once, his father began to laugh silently, his shoulders shaking. The boy felt his mother's fingers tugging fiercely at his shoulders. Let him up, she said. Let him up. The boy looked down at his father. Give up? His father stopped laughing. Okay, he said, I give up. So now the father is saying, okay, you won the wrestling match today, and today I have given up. The boy stood up and reached a hand to his father's to help him up, but his mother was before him, putting an arm about his father's shoulders, helping him to rise. They stood together and looked at him, his father grinning gamely, his mother with baffled pain in her eyes. So the mother was also a little confused at this point of time. Gamely means bravely and enthusiastically. The boy started to laugh. So the boy wanted to say, finally, I guess I have actually defeated you today. Dad, I didn't hurt you, did I? Oh no, I'm all right. Next time. So the father, seems mentally very strong. Says, it's okay. Next time we'll fight again, and I'm sure I'm going to win. Yeah, maybe next time. And his mother did not contradict what they said, for she knew as well as that there would never be a next time. For a moment, the three of them stood looking at one another, and then suddenly, blindly, the boy turned. He ran through the door under which he had ducked so many times, where he had ridden on his father's shoulders. He went out of the kitchen door behind which he had hidden, waiting to leap out and pounce upon his father's legs. So this boy had become very nostalgic. This boy was reminded of the time when his father would return from the office, and how this boy, very little in size, would hide behind the kitchen door. It was dark outside. He stood on the steps, feeling the cool air against his sweaty body. He stood with lifted head, looking at the stars, and then he could not see them because of the tears that burned his eyes and ran down his cheeks. And this chapter is actually adapted from the story The Cub, which is written by Lois Dykeman. So, what has happened in this story? This boy is reminded of the memories, the childhood memories with his father. And it says, there's a line which says that there might never be a next time. There's never going to be a next time, because the boy realized that his father has grown old, and he really did not know how much his father is going to live now. I want to really tell you one thing today, that whatever you become in your life, to a large extent, it is the qualities, or it is it is because of the efforts that your parents make to ensure that you lead a good life. In fact, one set of people in your life who are completely irreplaceable are your parents. So please ensure that you value them. Feel blessed that you have parents, and understand one thing, that whatever your parents say, it is largely in your own interest, because they want you to lead a peaceful, lead a successful, and a life full of prosperity. So always listen to your parents, because as I said, they are irreplaceable. And have before going to bed, always thank God for giving you such lovely parents. Thank you so much.